Greetings, my name is Timothy Halloran. I am an evolutionary astrologer. We're talking about the nature of the times. So, heads up, disclaimer, every astrologer, we do it a little bit in our own unique way. So please understand, my goal and intention with astrology is to share the objective truth in a way so to understand where we are in time collectively greater than we otherwise could. About half of you are new here. I encourage you to subscribe. And if you'd like to tune into more feel-good ASMR astrology, I simply recommend another astrologer. When we tune into the mainstream news, we get bombarded by negativity, right? Well, I simply polarize with the astrological community that can be so overly oriented towards maintaining positivity, we can lose perspective of what is true. Now into March 2025, we're already experiencing what could be a cooking pot beginning to boil, maybe overboil, an incredibly unsettling potential overwhelm, a high degree of emotion. Why? Because our prior new moon just a week ago was in the sign of Pisces. That new moon trined Mars, who is freshly stationed in Cancer, bringing up a tremendous emotional overwhelm. Now, although Mars just stationed direct, we've got Mercury and Venus stationing retrograde. We've got Mars square to Chiron through the rest of this month. So chances are we're not leaving the gate at full burst. This is not yet baby born, and even when baby gets born, baby don't hit the ground running. There is an incredible amount to digest about what the heck is going on this planet, what the heck's going on with our species, what the heck is the point of this whole lifetime. And I have to be honest here, this has been one of the most difficult videos to put out here in a very long time. And yes, I'll be editing out the very appropriate windstorm. But oh my God, it is a difficult time to be alive. That's why I began this video with a disclaimer. We talk about what's real. That's the point of astrology, because there are so many opportunities to cop out of reality, to go officially crazy. We are in such a time these days. I find it is objectively challenging or dangerous periods where there is a greater percentage of people encouraging us to cop out, encouraging us not to pay attention to what's going on in the world. And this is not being reflected back from the astrology as a good suggestion, not with the moon's north node joined with Neptune in Pisces. Yes, we can be overwhelmed, but we need to find a balance between that overwhelm and what it is we're being called to process that is in fact our reality. We don't want to be shutting out or running away from reality as if that gives us a healthier orientation to the world. It does not. So one of the suggestions, because I am here to try to help us out through the period as much as tell it for what it actually is, as opposed to sugarcoat or make-believe or pretend. Something I really recommend for this period is it's like we've got to keep one eye on the painful part. It's like if you break your arm, do you run around the rest of the month like your arm isn't broken, as if that's going to help you to heal your arm and have a better rest of your life? No, you better take care of that arm if you want to have a good life, right? So similarly, we're having a lunar eclipse. Wouldn't you know it, the great eclipse of this forthcoming eclipse season is our next full moon in Virgo that, wouldn't you know it, is going to be exact over the Americas. Now, every single year, this is one of the most humbling full moons, because Virgo wakes us up to what is not working, what is broken, what is unfinished, what is imperfect, for good reason. To bring healing awareness to those places, just like when we break our arm, we have to direct healing awareness there. We may go to the hospital. We may have to put that arm in a cast. And you know what? This particular month can bring up so much health-related healing crises, physical crises. Yeah. Mars station square to Chiron, lunar eclipse in Virgo. This is going to wake us up to what is not working. Okay? So point is, we need to have our eyes on what's broken so we don't fling that broken arm around and pretend that it's not broken, because that's going to just lead to a total disfiguration down the line. And if we 100% put all of our focus on that broken arm every day while we're in the hospital, while we're in the cast, we could easily go crazy from the overwhelm of pain as well. So this is some alchemical magic I'm suggesting here. It's like having one eye on the prize of no pain, no gain. We do need to focus on what's broken and what needs fixing, and we also need to focus on what's comforting, what's nourishing, what's grounding, what's recentering. Like how we're in the hospital, we may be taking care of our broken arm, but we've got a TV in front of us. It's okay to disassociate a bit, as long as we are not disassociating in total, which is the part that scares me about what I am observing from all of humanity at this time, which is a growing trend of sociopathy. Sociopathy posing as spirituality, sociopathy posing as maturity, sociopathy posing as success. This is one of the most terrifying trends I have observed take place over my entire life. I have been addressing it since I began as an astrologer by focusing on evolutionary astrology as taught by Jeffrey Wolf Green, combined with the most missing and needed medicine on the planet at this time, empathy. Empathy. And I began my journey over a dozen years ago as an astrologer, coming in with the Jupiter in Cancer on Jupiter's own north node, preaching about Jupiter in Cancer. And Jupiter's going into Cancer this next May. I'm going to be preaching a lot about this most missing and needed medicine on the planet at this time. That no matter how many places I've gone, no matter how many New Age retreats or workshops, I am talked over, I am shoved in the back by people posing as the divine feminine who would sooner murder her in the streets if they could. Because I'll tell you what weaponized empathy is. It's suppressing empathy in a world where empathy is already suppressed. You see, we've already come from that dog-eat-dog, fight-to-survive world. You better toughen up, you better grow up. And if you're vulnerable, you're considered complaining. And if you speak negatively, you're considered being a voice of Satan. I'm going to cut straight to the chase. I believe the people that are overly positively painting over everything with a smiley face as if that were spiritual are the ones working for Satan. And those are the people that are the extensions of old white slave owners pretending to be Christian, clicking their heels and thinking they're going to go to heaven after they die, while not putting in any conscious effort to help out anyone else outside of themselves. What changes that, ladies and gentlemen? What changes this world from being a hell realm where the worst people keep winning and the best people keep losing is we prioritize empathy as the most missing and needed medicine. We do not prioritize sociopathy and you feel good while the rest of the world is suffering and dying from the lack of resources you are seated upon, but don't even realize you have to share with others because you're too busy copping out into an eternal vacation. Ladies and gentlemen, I see what goes on Instagram out there. All you need is a camera and a mansion to pretend that you're spiritually successful in such a fucked up world. We consider that spiritual evolution by New Age standards. And you know what? That is working for the devil. We are so confused and lost as a species. We are losing ourselves to a growing trend of sociopathy where half of the people are applauding it as being progress instead of fully regressive back to the dark ages we believed, we wanted to believe. We could very well be make-believing we are leaving behind. Folks, I'm not being overly negative. I don't make the rules of the game. I don't want this to be the world we live in. But we see Saturn in a balsamic to conjunction to Neptune throughout the rest of this year, up until February of 2026. And guess what this is going to bring collectively, particularly to the area of Saturn, which rules government structures, which rules police, authorities, and also all fundamental structures at Earth, including all structures of consciousness, like the structure of our very own belief system, or the structure that we orient to the world that prioritizes right from wrong. Do we know right from wrong? Well, we're being asked that question. very, very much, with the moon's nodes forming a square to Jupiter now through May. While Saturn closes into a new conjunction with Neptune now through February of next year, what this will bring fundamentally is dissolving. Dissolving. Structural dissolving. Dissolving of purpose, dissolving of orientation, dissolving of our old spiritual belief system. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you really looked up to a spiritual teacher who proclaimed being an embodiment of the divine feminine throughout her whole life until you recently watched them go sociopathic and start preaching horribly misleading ideas, such as that depression is a sin, which is the least maternal, least divine feminine thing I've ever heard in my entire life, and is the red flag that this ship is sinking. Even some of the best cults, even some of the most loving places, are they really loving? Do they even really know what love is? If we're going to turn depression into a sin, we are about to start abandoning the people who need love the most. This weaponized empathy, encouraging people away from empathy, is encouraging us to kick the people who need our healing down while they're already down. To blame victims for what they are authentically victimized by. You know when I got my first official dose of this? Well, my only spiritual and astrology teacher is Jeffrey Wolf Green, who I will honor through the rest of my life. But I did get mixed up with a funny man. He completely made his entire mission preaching the divine feminine while simultaneously raping her. When those victims came forward, he blamed them. They were the succubuses. They made him do it, these women a third his age. That's the world in which we live. It wasn't just him. Half of his following, including women in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, also blamed the victims. Yeah, they deserved it. Good things happen to good people and bad things only happen to bad people is sociopathic consciousness. In a world where we are in another gilded age, where people are suffering is the 99% and people being okay is the 1%, we really think bad things only happen to bad people and good things only happen to good people? This is a spiritual crisis. It's not me just making it up. It's not me just being negative. Virgo is what bursts the bubble by exposing what's not working to bring our attention to what's imperfect. Now, is ever anything totally perfect? Is our bodies perfect? Are our relationships perfect? Are our families perfect? Is our work career perfect? No. Virgo forces us to address the reality of imperfection. I would do so much harm by attempting to give this message of we ought to feel good and be positive and click, 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 be positive. I would do so much disservice to those who are suffering, those in pain, those that are depressed by saying, let's pave over all those people as if they don't matter or they don't exist. Actually, it's the loving people who say, let's actually listen to those in pain who may be coming from a negative place because they lack something, they're poor, whether it be in spirits, food, money, emotional support. And you know, it's funny that Christ said, blessed are the poor, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth, because what he's actually talking about is this Neptune, Pisces, be-all, end-all, unconditional love reality, which we're all supposed to be leaning into now with the North Node conjoined Neptune and Saturn. Well, those who've experienced suffering the most, we can't easily become a billionaire and then ignore the suffering of everyone else. So blessed are the poor and blessed are the meek means those who actually suffer the most are the most compassionate souls, pretty much across the board. Is this always the case? No, but oftentimes the best, most helpful, most inspiring, and most compassionate souls are actually those who come from the darkest places or come out of the biggest pits. And what that bestows upon such souls is the greatest range to reach more people, the way Christ sacrificed himself to go all the way to hell, to reach all people into hell. That's also what we do, those who are truly spiritual. And you know what I've noticed after 12 years of presenting Jeffrey Wolf Green's evolutionary astrology, which is the most brilliant light of truth, to illuminate the truth, to destroy the darkness, to help our humanity out of this hell realm quagmire we've created for ourselves by breaking down lies, deconditioning, that is man-made rules and expectations versus what is actually natural, God-ordained, natural laws. That's what evolutionary astrology is fundamentally all about. And what I've noticed in a dozen years of doing this work is not just him, but anybody who honestly and authentically presents Jeffrey Wolf Green evolutionary astrology, we are seen as negative. To put it lightly, if we're not fully demonized, folks, there's people doing actually horrible things in the world. Please direct your attention to them if you need to shoot somebody down. I have seen way too many people shoot down the wisest, the most caring and compassionate souls, bringing in the greatest beam of wisdom I've ever perceived, as if our species is rejecting it and him. And what I've realized is Jeffrey Wolf Green's actually very close to Christ, not in a belief system way, in this type of way. And though we're super excited about the incoming Aquarian age, we're actually at the tail end of the Pisces age, and what Christ said is those who want to follow me will pick up your crosses and follow me. Jeffrey Green certainly did. More people demonized him, while he probably saved more souls than anybody else. All right, so that's the big stuff, and it's the important stuff, because as I break it down into what's going on more these weeks, this is more the bit-by-bit digestion of this bigger stuff. So as I mentioned, Venus stationed retrograde at the start of this month. Mercury's about to station retrograde at practically the same degree, 9 to 10 degrees Aries, on March 15th. Okay, so Venus is going to go back into Pisces at the end of this month, station direct on Saturn mid-April. Wouldn't you know it? We're Mercury stations direct with Saturn. There's going to be some incredible needing to see it for what it actually is. Get rid of the superficial bullshit. Get rid of the illusions, the distractions, the interferences. And at first, Venus stationing in Mars sign of Aries, right at the conclusion of our recent Mars retrograde, it can be a bit of a lonely road, can it not? Honestly, I think anyone representing real truth, real justice, real goodness, real love, or real creativity in this world at this time is probably being met with a huge amount of resistance, because what I'm actually observing collectively is that there is a glow-up taking place for shitty people. Whereas those who are actually attuned and aware with what's going on, we're more so horrified because we can see that it is all a mirage. The glow up is a mirage. The shitty people glowing up are deceiving themselves and deceiving others. We're Saturn balsamic to Neptune until February of 2026 says a bubble's about to burst. What it looks like right now is not how it's going to be at the end of the day. How could we possibly celebrate early? How could we possibly celebrate things we have yet to accomplish? How could we encourage one another to keep checking out, dreaming, imagining, and giving away this time, this vital life, these vital resources that we could be doing something helpful. We could be taking this species into the future. We could actually be doing something of high integrity and nobility instead of giving up and selling out. And it's not an easy time. We have to encourage each other to hold the space to be authentically negative and shake off this disgusting sociopathic notion that depression or negativity is a curse or that it's wrong, as we are going to murder our soul with such toxic ideologies. The Holy Spirit is the water trinity. Cancer to Scorpio to Pisces is what keeps our head on our soul through empathy. Cancer, which means we get to feel the full spectrum experience of whatever we're feeling in the moment you feel it. Good, bad, or ugly. That's your life. That's your authentic human experience. That's what God created. I'm trying as hard as I can not to be political, but it's no longer a political situation. When we're talking about Saturn balsamic to Neptune, the ship is sinking. If you're on the Titanic and the Titanic is sinking, Do you want to make believe that the ship isn't sinking until you're underwater? Or do you want to accept the reality for what it is so we can at least be prepared despite the fact that we may not have complete control over everything? Ladies and gentlemen, my job is to simply make us most prepared, even though we cannot know the future. I am holding out for the best. I am wishing for the best for you, your beloveds, for all of us at this time. I am doing my very best to maintain hopefulness where day after day, there's a lot that is showing me that those hopes are a lot of wishful thinking, and we need to get real as much as we need to have hope. We need to have reality as much as we have to have hope. We need to have love, and we also need to learn how to not abuse the living shit out of each other. Because if we're abusing the shit out of each other, do you think me and you saying, but we still love each other anyways, is anything but gaslighting? We can do a lot better than this. We can do a lot better than this. So let's actually honor what real spirituality is. The forming square between the nodes of Jupiter is going to ask us to inquire upon conscience, like Jiminy Cricket conscience. What's good from bad? What does this world actually need? What is actually good from evil? And what we're going to see is an incredible divisionism. It's almost like there are opposing realities, like how in the United States we're close to civil war, and we've got these two opposing realities, and neither one of them are really seeing clearly. Because when you create a reality where half of the other people are wrong, no matter what, before you even listen, before you even see, no, they're evil and bad no matter what, and those other people are, no, you're evil and bad no matter what, like Israel and Palestine, do you think there's ever going to be any hope for resolution in such a world? We need actual solutions. Therefore, we need to actually address the problems. This full moon in Virgo, red blood moon over America, is going to wake us up to those problems, like it or not. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not make the rules. I am not God. I am not being overly negative. I am hoping to prepare you for the times we find ourselves in. I hope this is useful, because it's not everybody's flavor or thing. Trust me, I get it. Not everybody's thing. But you know what? There are other people doing their own thing. You can find them. And my people, I'm calling on you. I need you. I need your support. And I need to know where we can go that is going to be safe from here. Any inkling of a suggestion, I am all open to, because I'm going to be cultivating and building what we need to get to a ship that is not sinking. It's going to be a hell of an exciting year, but I think as much as in such gambling situations where there's winners and losers and you don't know what's going to happen every other day like a slot machine, there is opportunity for terrific wins, as much as it may not be what we thought it was. So let's keep ourselves open to those possibilities. Hey, I'm even open to staying in the South if something magically assumes here that is not going to be a angry mob burning the witch at the stake, despite that angry mob all pretending to be witches themselves. They would sooner burn an actual witch at the stake if they got the opportunity to, I think. So let's get to safety for real witches. On that note, stay wise, my friends. That's what it means to be a witch, to be a wise soul, irrelevant of gender, and my reason for being here and putting my voice out here is actually only to reach wise souls. I'm not here to appease the masses. I'm not here to just get money from the new age. Otherwise, you wouldn't have heard the last video or the last 320-something videos I've put out. All right? So if this calls to you, if you feel like you're in, soul family and like mind, connect with us at Rasalila Community. We'll have our next Q&A. I've yet to announce that, so stay tuned. But we're going to continue to cultivate a safe space. We're going to cultivate an actual safe space for the actual caring, maternal, compassionate, providing souls. Because again, I'm observing all of y'all are going through a harder time. You're the fewer and far between. And the majority of the rest of the world is a zombie apocalypse that is gaslighting you, encouraging you to shut up, to deny your experience and go to sleep. We cannot allow that to happen. Nobody listening to me is going to be losing their soul. All right? Keep in touch. I love you. Take care of yourself. And my heart goes out to all of your beloveds as well.